Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. Let's see, quick feedback from the speakers. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Perfect. Good. Great. So I see there are not so many people at the moment in the stream, so maybe we can wait another couple of minutes. I also don't know if my number here is correct. Okie dokie. I would say let's start with the introduction. Maybe some more people will join. Let's see. So please introduce yourself in the comments in the chat with YouTube, so you can have a chat there also during the talks and discuss topics. You can ask questions if you have time. We can discuss them later after the talk with each speaker. So again, welcome everybody to the November event of Webzurich. So this is the second last event this year. We have another one in December, just right before Christmas. I will tell you the date afterwards. So what is Webzurich? Webzurich is a meetup for all people about which are working in the web area. So it's about designers, user experience experts, developers, SEO people, accessibility guys and girls, fortunately, and all these other fancy new things with VR, artificial intelligence, and all these things. So everybody is welcome here at Webzurich, and we are also really trying to have a diverse set of talks and of presentations. And yeah, it helps everybody if we have like talks from all these different areas. So I will ask or tell it about later again, but I can also already say it here. So if you are from one of these area, and if you think you have something which is presentable, or not even if you think, so it's for sure something which is presentable. So connect with us and offer to give a talk. We are really happy to have you yes, with us. Good. Then we have some principles so that everybody is welcome here. Everybody feels welcome. So yeah, that's also the first thing. Everybody is welcome. So nobody should be excluded. depending on gender, on race, on whatever. So it should be a fun place where we can share our experiences, work together, share projects. Sometimes even there were projects which started from the Webzurich community. So we are really open for this. We have these monthly meetups. Usually we have them in the Impact Hub in Zurich, so at this location. But currently, as almost all meetups, we are also remote online, which has some downsides, but which also has some positive sides, that people can join from everywhere around the world. So we also had a lot of people from different countries which stayed up late in the evening or stood up early in the morning just to join our meetup. This is fantastic. We speak mostly in English, so the presentations, there are always, I would say always in English, and also in the discussions, in the networking, which we have normally afterwards in the Impact Hub, we try to speak English. And today, because we don't have this possibility to join afterwards together, we have it in a digital way. So we have the what's the name now? I forgot. After party Jitsi room. And we can join there, and it's something similar. It's not exactly the same as meeting in the Impact Hub and have like chips and beer and all this, but still it's really cool. We can talk to each other and ask questions, discuss topics from the talk. Good. As I said before, everybody's invited to participate. So if you want to give a talk, talk to us. If you are not sure if you should, also talk to us. We can help you. We can support you. And yeah, this last sentence, usually we have a neutral home Impact Hub, but at the moment we also have the neutral home, the web. We also have a code of conduct, which is linked on our website. Then talking about the website, we have some channels which are widely used in our community. So for sure, the website where we announce the talks, and also you can find the talks later on, the recordings, to watch them again. We have the Slack channel, the Slack group, which is really, really active. And we motivate you to join there as well. We have the Meetup group. There, this is mainly for announcing the talks as well. We don't communicate it much, but so if you want to communicate better, use the Slack or use the Twitter. And yeah, also for sure we have a Twitter hashtag. Please use it if you comment about the meetup today or the event in general. This helps us to get more people to learn about Webzurich and to join the meetups. Good. Then, as announced already twice, we need talks because this is the main part of our meetup. So we really want to motivate you to contact us. On the website, you find a submit button where you can fill out a small form with some input about your talk. And then we will contact you and arrange a day or a date when you can give your talk. So talks are usually 15 minutes plus or minus, and normally we don't have Q&A before I ask the speakers. So if it's okay for the speakers, we can discuss some questions afterwards, but normally you don't have to do the Q&A if you don't feel like doing it. We can still have the discussions then afterwards in this after party Jitsi group. Good. So talking of the team here, this is our team. We are at the moment 6 people which are organizing these events. So we have Alexei, we have Olga, we have Martin, we have Stuart, we have Rob, and we have me, Daniel, and some of them are also with us today. So you maybe will see them later in the after party. So I think that's it for no, most important part as well. So I think second important after the talks, sponsors. So we are always happy to have sponsors. We have some really nice sponsors at the moment. We are really happy with them. But also, if you want to give something small, it doesn't have to be something big. So you can support us. Drink snacks we don't need at the moment, so you can buy a nice drink for yourself at the moment and have enjoy it at home. But if we will have the events in Impact Hub in the future, we hope so. We can do it next year. We are also happy to have people which sponsor drinks and snacks. Also, you can support us for the equipment, or if you have some other ideas how you could help us. So we are always open to that. Patreon is also one option. Our lovely sponsors we have today, and actually we had already the whole year, are these three really nice brands, really nice companies. We have Rockstar Recruiting, we have Graph CMS, and we have Valtech, which are supporting us and helping us to make these meetups possible. Good. Then again, join the conversation. Join us on Slack. You find the link on webzurich.ch. Leave comments in the YouTube stream now here. I already saw that Mirko commented, so hi Mirko. Nice to have you with us today. And afterwards, join the after party at this link. We will show the link again in the end. So, correct. Yes, next meetup, but this I can say in the end. Good. Good. Then let's see if Francesco is ready. So Francesco Leardini, he will talk about what is possible today with browsers. So his talk, wait, can my browser do that? He will talk about modern APIs and about how to connect your browser with hardware, stuff like that. But he can explain much, much better than me. So I want to invite Francesco. So you're here, and I will stop my present. Oh, it's already stopped. Good, perfect.
Okay.
So thanks again for joining us for presenting this topic to us, and I leave the stage to you.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, so tonight I will show you some browser APIs that we can use to enhance the feature of our web projects. The goal of these APIs is to close the gap with native apps, and so provide a richer experience to our users. You might already know some of them, but I hope tonight at least I will be able to show some new ones. Now, if you look at the picture, you might wonder whether we can launch a space rocket with our browser. Well, let's say not completely yet, or at least I would not try it with Explorer 11. But JavaScript went to the space. Here is an image of the console of the SpaceX Dragon 2. Is the first spacecraft that presented or had touchscreens. The interface makes extensive use of web components and a custom reactive framework based on Chromium and JavaScript. Of course, C++ is also used to bind to the hardware. Plus, you can see in the middle there are some hardware buttons and controls for the most critical operations, and this is good so. However, JavaScript and the browser went really ahead and improved more and more every year. Aside this, also the mobile devices increased the usage and became extremely powerful machines. The mobile traffic constantly increased in the past years, and in 2019, it took over the assets from desktop devices. Therefore, it's really crucial being able to optimize the performance of our web application for these mobile devices and also use modern APIs in order to provide a better user experience to our users. A user experience that will be much similar to the one provided by native apps and to which our users are really used to currently. Before going further, just a couple of words about me. My name is Francesco Leardini. and I work as a software engineer and Angular trainer at Trivadis. Trivadis is a consultancy firma company that is headquartered here in Zurich. The demos that we will see tonight will use Chrome, or I will show you also some demos with my phone emulator. Chrome, because at the moment it has the greatest support for these browser APIs. You will see that these APIs still have some or quite some limitations and reduced compatibility. This though doesn't have to stop you from further experience these kind of APIs or just to be curious. My goal for tonight is to show you what possibly is coming in the future and already make you think what is possible and what could be a possible new web scenario with these APIs. So new possibilities we can provide thanks to them. Due to the limited time that we have tonight for this meetup, I won't show you in detail also the code. I will provide you the link to the GitHub repo, and I wrote a lot of comments in the code, so it will be really easy to follow along. But I will rather concentrate on the demos and explain for each of these API what could be a possible use case in order to make the full presentation a little bit more interactive. Good. Then let's start seeing the first API for tonight, Page Visibility API. This API is not one of the latest, but also because of this, it has a wide compatibility and can be used in many browsers. This API provides events we can listen to in order to know whether the document visibility changes. So if the user minimizes the page or a new tab is open. Possible use cases are, for example, a carousel that shows some products on sale so that we can stop switching to the next product if the user switches to a new tab. So it doesn't really have visible the page. So we prevent that the user will miss potentially a product. And like today, that is a Black Friday, sure, this is extremely relevant as a use case. Another possible scenario is a client app where regularly fetches new and fresh data from a server. Now we can implement this page visibility API so that we can optimize and save some network traffic when the user or the page is not visible, so that the polling strategy will be instantiated again as soon as the page is visible again. That said, let's see our first demo. This is the demo that you will see later on in the GitHub repo. It's just a very simple Angular application with Angular material for the UI. But all the APIs that we'll discuss tonight are framework agnostic. So you can use in Angular, React, Vue.js as you want, or even vanilla JavaScript. I use Angular just for convenience. Plus, this application is a full-featured PWA application, so progressive web app. Therefore, we can install it on a desktop machine or even on a mobile device on the home screen if you want. That said, let's see our first demo about the Page Visibility API. For this sample, I will play a video, and then we can see the video starts, and there is the title play here. Now, if I switch to a new tab, the video stops, and for the sake of the demo, I update the title. Now, when I go back again, we will expect that the video will start exactly from the second I left. And it is like this. And we can see played again. So this is a very simple yet powerful way to clearly understand when the user or the page is visible, and then according to that take action according to our case, our domain. Next API we will see is called the Screen Wake Lock API, and I really like it. Use cases are very simple for a cooking website, for example, because it happens often that we open a website presenting a recipe, and then we start cooking, and then we check the different steps. but maybe we have our hands full in dough if we are making a cake, for example, and it's not really practical when our mobile device to save battery goes in sleep mode. So we don't see anymore anything on the screen. And of course, if we are cooking, it's not exactly a good case. Think about being in such a case, like me most of the time. So indeed, not really the best case. Another scenario could be a news or educational website where the user needs a bit more time to go through the content. Therefore, he or she doesn't scroll constantly, and we want still to keep the screen active. For that, I will show you the emulator of my screen of my device with the application on my phone. Now I leave it on the desk and I don't touch it. How this API works is that we need, after a user explicitly action, we need to acquire a so-called wake lock or sentinel. Thanks to that, then we can instruct the device to not go on standby mode, and so keep the screen active. And we have to keep in mind, you can see now, after 15 seconds, my screen went blank. Now I acquire the lock. You can see that I had to explicitly click on the tab, on the checkbox, sorry. And then let's imagine we just start cooking. So as I said, we acquire the lock, and this will keep the screen active. It won't go locked anytime until we switch to a new tab or minimize the window, the page. In that case, the lock, the sentinel, is automatically released. However, we can use in a combination the page visibility API that we just saw before in order to detect when the page is visible again. And then if the user previously requested the will or showed the will to acquire the lock, then we can automatically make so that the lock is acquired again in a transparent way. You can notice now that I don't touch the screen anymore, but the screen doesn't go anymore on standby mode. So it's very convenient. I can go on and the screen won't go blank anymore. So it can save us in cases like in the picture this. Ambient light. This is also another extremely cool and interesting feature, I think, that we can provide from our web applications. The ambient light sensor interface belongs or is part of the sensor APIs. These sensor APIs collect different APIs that can fetch information from the physical device sensor. For example, the gyroscope or the accelerometer, or indeed the can provide us the light level or illuminance in the area around the device we are using. So scenarios of this feature could be, for example, something similar to what the native application of Google Maps offers, so that if we are in a bright environment, we have a so-called light theme, while if it's in the night, automatically the maps are switching to a dark mode. And we can provide, for example, the same information also through the web without the use of an explicit chose from the user that he or she has to choose between light or dark mode. This can be done automatically and transparent. We can see also here that the lock is still on because indeed we didn't, we have the wake lock sentinel working. So this is again another demo that using the ambient light sensor interface to detect the amount of light. Now, if with my phone I go closer to my lamp, you can see that the light level increases, right? And we have a light mode, or in a case, a bright UI. Now, if I go away from the source of light, so from the lamp, until a specific threshold, in this case is 50, then automatically my interface switches to dark mode. And this can be done in a very elegant way without the user having to switch when it's night to the dark mode. We can make our web application so-called intelligent and detect it automatically from environment, from the hardware of the device. Of course, this API, like others, is still very experimental. So you should, in Chrome, for example, you should enable some specific flags, and then you can use it. For each of these APIs, you have an area that shows the browser compatibility. As you can see here, except Edge and Firefox, Chrome with flags, there is not really a huge compatibility. However, in this browser compatibility section, you can see the specific compatibility for each of these APIs. Next API we are going to see is also another long time requested functionality that was always missing in web or for web application, but it was present for native apps. And now, thanks to the File System Access API, former called Native Access API, we can fill also this gap. This API offers a new way to manipulate files on a local file system after the user grants permissions to access these files. With this API, we don't have to download the file we are working on and then store it on a new location or on the same location to overwrite it. So we don't have to open a file picker every time we want to save the file. We can even implement an autosave functionality that gets periodically triggered so that the saving functionality is totally transparent for the user. Let's see this in place. If I open a new file, now I just, let's create it in this one. Yeah, it's not very interesting, but it's okay. We can see that in the upper right part, we have a new icon and shows that by opening it, we gave the read permission to the file. This is transparent. And this API is active by default from Chrome 86. In previous versions, you have to enable a specific flag in order to make it possible. Now, if I save it, I have to explicitly give write permissions. And okay, I gave it, and then now we can check the icon now is slightly different. Now it says that we have also granted permission to edit this specific file. Very nice. Let's change it, complete it, edit it, and then let's save it. Good. Now I can switch back. We have nothing. I can brand new file, save as, and this automatically will grant read and write file permissions to the file by doing this, and it will be transparent for the user. And now edit one and whatever. Now all the saves I do, they will go straight to the file. I can open the previous one, and we can see that the file indeed has been saved correctly. And this is much more elegant than having to open a file picker every time, and then when we have to save on the same file location. It gives a much better feeling, a much better user experience for our web application, thanks to this File System Access API. We still have a few minutes, therefore let's see another cool API. This is called Vibration API. It's a very interesting way to interact with the hardware device, hardware vibration of the device, in order to provide a better experience or a tactile feedback that might be needed in case, for example, we have to provide some further feedback in case of a form validation. On mobile devices, sometimes if you have a very long form and the screen is half taken by a keyboard, then the user might lose some fields or the context of the form itself. And this could be a possible use case where if validation fails in the form, then we can provide a vibration to alert the user that something didn't go well. Or in the case of game web applications, of course, it would enrich even further the experience. For this, I created a very simple steps quiz, just the 2 steps, but I don't want to go through. I will let you have fun with it. It's very simple, so I don't want to spoil it. Just one word about the usage of the vibration API. It's very simple. We can define an array of integers that can create a pattern in the sense that alternate milliseconds of vibration to a milliseconds of pause. And with this pattern, we can create as long as vibration patterns as we want. For this very specific case, if you provide a good answer to the quiz, then you will get 3 short vibrations. While if the answer is wrong, then you will get just 1 long one. And this is just a very simple example how can we use this API. Let's see the very last API for tonight, or maybe we can stretch to all. WebShare. WebShare is also a cool functionality that we can provide in order to be able, especially when nowadays social media are so relevant in our life, to being able to share our or part of our web application with some social media native apps, or simply to some native apps. For this, I will again switch to my phone to show it. WebShare. In here, for example, let's imagine I have a web application that provides recipes of cocktails. I provided here the my favorite 2 recipes, so Manhattan and the Cosmopolitan. And in a very simple way, we can share, for example, these recipes or just the content of our web application with a specific native app. Let's pick up one line that is similar to WhatsApp. Yes. When we share it, we can see that I can select a specific content. So we can choose among a title, a text body, and eventually an URL. We have to choose at least one of these 3 informations, but it's always best practice to choose all 3, because we don't know whether the user will choose WhatsApp, for example, or an email, so that as a subject, the title can be taken. Okay. Another web API, but now I'm running out of time and I won't show it here. It's a contact picker API that allows us to access to the contacts of our mobile device and make them available through the web application after the user grants permission for it. I will provide you here the URL for the repo. Here you will see all the playable demos. You can just play with them. You can just fork and run them even locally if you like. And here, along with the GitHub repo, are some of my social links. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can get some feature updates if I plan to provide some new APIs to this project, or I will, from time to time, also post some new technical articles that I write. That's it. I'm done with my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And I give back the word to Daniel. Thank you very much.
Cool, very cool. Thank you very much, Francesca. that are great new possibilities we have in the web. And I must admit that a lot of them I didn't knew. Actually, most of them I didn't knew.
Cool.
And what I really like is this screen wake lock. I already commented in the chat, because this would have been of use so many times for me, not only for cooking, but also like if you are repairing your bike and have your hands also dirty, it would be so cool. But also
Right.
the other things, really worth to take a look on them. Really cool. Let me quickly see, but I think there were no questions so far. Yes, no. So yeah, if people want to ask questions, they can come to the after talk.
Yeah.
I always forget the name. After party Jitsi. Good. Good. Thanks again, Francesco. Was really, really good. Okay. So next up will be Tobias Willmann, and he will talk to us about GIF or GIF, as you like, SEO. Let's add him to the stage. And here also, this was something completely new for me. I know that you can improve images somehow, but it's especially for GIF or GIF, you can have SEO. This is also new to me. So I'm really interesting what you're going to tell us about how to make GIFs or GIFs more visible and so improve them.
Okay.
So thanks again. Stage is yours.
I will share my screen. So you should see it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So second topic for tonight, GIF SEO. Let's dive into it. The first question I have here for you is, why is search a big topic for GIFs? So if you imagine the use case when you want to use a GIF, in many cases it's related to search. Let's imagine you are in WhatsApp and you're looking for cake. Then actually what you do here is you're not looking in WhatsApp, but WhatsApp has implemented an API to Giphy or Tenor. These are the GIF search engines. And these GIF search engines provide the GIFs basically. That's really, there is a lot of usage of those in Messenger, social media, and in many other apps, as you might already realize while using your phone. So what you can see here is that the results in WhatsApp are exactly the same as the results in Tenor if I'm looking for cake. There is a second thing related to search. I named it recommended searches, which is really popular, especially in chat apps. And in this case, it's recommending me to search for haha to send something to my mom. And it's exactly the same as looking for haha as searching for haha in this case. Many apps also provide recommendations really of GIFs, not just recommendations for searches. So you can see here TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, they have something like the top trending ones and they recommend those. And in case of Tinder, they recommend special GIFs which perfectly fit this dating chat use case in this case. Okay. I thought a little bit about the use cases searching for GIFs. That I found the first one would be to search for a GIF to start or reply in a conversation. So in this case, I'm looking with that's a Google keyboard, I think. I'm looking for a GIF related to tired, and that's much cooler to use this guy laying on the ground than to write I'm tired. So this would be one use case. And the second use case is, let's imagine this apple is a car. I'm looking for a GIF to use as or extend my social content. So I have a video about a car in my TikTok or in my Instagram stories, and I want to extend it with the model number as a cool GIF. And then I'm looking for an Audi A4 GIF as an example. So this is the second use case for the thing called stickers. let's separate these. GIFs are animated images, and you share the whole thing. If we're talking about stickers in this world on Giphy, on Tenor, then it's a transparent background image, and usually the stickers are shared on top of something, on top of an Instagram story, on top of a TikTok or so, like as described before. Okay, so let's dive a little bit into the research I've done related to this stuff. I was curious, is there a correlation between views and rankings? And I scraped about 100,000 lines of GIF ranking data, and you can see this in this Medium article. This is in more detail, but you can see here in this graph that if I'm positioned on a good position in Giphy, I usually have much more views. So that's like the latest test I did here with a lot of data. And now you may ask, before I start into showing you how to optimize and what you can find and how do you do research there, I want to quickly discuss this marketing with GIFs topic. And I thought, like, let's explain this first, because if you do marketing with GIFs, it's about brand awareness. It's not, you don't get traffic or conversions or something like this. You want to have an impression of GIFs of your brand, and maybe then be part of the private conversations of your fans, and that's it, I think. And to be successful here, I would say you have at least two preconditions. And the first one is that you as a brand want to add some value to people's private conversations or social media activities with the GIFs you create. You cannot create something which is just like celebrating your brand, but must be cool for people to share. So what you can see here with this dog and the pizza, and it's from Domino's, and yeah, maybe that's cool, maybe someone will share that, but it's not like too pushy in terms of showing my own brand. The second thing I would recommend, and I did a lot of research which brands are successful on Giphy, and I went through the list, and it's a lot of TV shows, musicians, and everything which is cool and loved. I guess food is really good. So like if you are a chocolate brand, you can do it, of course. But if you are an insurance, it's much harder, I would say, even if, of course, your insurance is super cool. But yeah, you cannot compete with chocolate in the world of GIFs, I would say. Okay, so let's say you want to start and you want to do some research, and let's start here what you can do. The first thing I would recommend to check out is the trends. This gives you a lot of insights about what's currently trending, not just in terms of search terms, keywords, but also in terms of which GIFs are trending. So there is multiple options. You can click around in Giphy and Tenor, and you will find those. They are really, that's a really good thing if you just want to go for a lot of views in this GIF world. I built a little board. This is actually just updated a few minutes ago. And this board is showing you GIF search trends in the last 12 hours, which haven't been trending 24 hours before. And you can see here, like, the bigger the square, the bigger the trend in the last 12 hours. And this gives you a little hint which keywords are currently trending and what you can do. And you see, it's a weird world in terms of what people are looking there, searching there. Then I would recommend you to check out GIF categories. It's different than the categories in your e-commerce, or different than the categories of, I don't know, if you do traditional keyword research for SEO, because you have stuff like emotions, greetings, and memes, and all the subcategories of those. And there is other things which are important in the GIF world, and you should definitely check out those categories and how people are searching here, and what hashtags are popular there. It's different ones. Just one example here, what you can see here is the recommendations in the Google keyboard for which hashtags you might search for are mainly reactions and emotions. So it's a lot of reactions and emotions. You can see here like what they are looking for, oops, oh my god, and stuff like that. And you see this is a lot, and this is a pivot table, and you can see there are some leftovers which can be found in tenor categories. It's also something you could check out, but those are like the same kind of topics here. So like lazy and clapping, there's also like this reaction emotion stuff. So be aware, if you want to be in the trending ones of a chat app, then you probably have to target reactions and emotions. So like they do it really well. So this is a love brand, I would say. That's a movie, and you can go with The Rock here and say seriously and send it to a friend. Something like this is super popular. Okay, let's speak a little bit about keyword research, because I do SEO. So I was like, okay, can I do some keyword research in here? And I'm looking for low competition, high search volume, and I want to show you how this works in the GIF world, I would say. The first thing you can do to find out if something is high search volume is you can check Tenor Insights, and they give you not really good detailed hints, but they give you hints about, is it at the top 100 or is it the top 10,000 tenor search term? I tried a lot here, and I can tell you the top 10,000 tenor search term is not just 10,000. It's at least I found 30,000, but it's still a hint here. And yeah, so you can use that. The next thing you can use maybe to find out if there's competition. You can check on Giphy how many GIFs are there for the search term. And in this case, we have 13,000 GIFs for cooking. So I would say that's high competition. If you add another one, you have to be better than them to be like a lot of them to be in the top 10 or something like that. Also really helpful here is the GIFs here, the hashtags here. And these hashtags give you a hint about what hashtags you might use for your GIF. Then on GIF level, this is just one image. There you get the information about views. Views gives you also like this is like also how popular it is. And it also gives you here the hashtags which were used for the single image. You can automate that. There's APIs for Tenor and there's APIs for Giphy, but they will not offer everything. So I wrote a little script in Puppeteer to get more information. And what I built is a little keyword research spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet gives me information about how many results are there for the term, how many results are there for the stickers, is it in the top bucket of on Tenor, and it also gives me some hints about the views. In this case, I think it was the views, the summed up views of the top 10 GIFs for the word chocolate. So this is helpful if you have a bigger list and you want to especially scrape related ones and to get more ideas to find outliers with low competition, high volume. So something like this is maybe an option to start with something here. Okay, so now some findings, some hacks to make GIFs findable. It's really easy ones. I just chose, I think, 3 of them. The first one is, if you are on WhatsApp and you're looking for Rittersport, this is a German chocolate brand, you don't find them. If I'm looking on Giphy, I find a verified account with really nice GIFs and everything made well, like as expected, nice GIFs. And the first hack here is just upload to Tenor, because many brands, they upload just to Giphy. And if you not upload to Tenor in this scenario, you are not listed in WhatsApp. So it's no crazy optimization here, but just an upload. The second thing is for many brands, the competition in the sticker world is much lower than the competition in the traditional GIF world. What you can see here, I'm looking for James Bond, and someone owns the brand James Bond, and I have to deal with these guys and the bananas, which makes no sense for me as a user because I want to share a real James Bond. So the hack here is just creating. If you created a GIF, just create also a sticker. There's always an option to add something with a transparent background. And then people can use it on Instagram, Instagram Stories, TikTok, and that's a huge audience which you can target here. Okay. Also in the tool, I created something to identify hashtags, because hashtags are actually the key to rank. You have to use the right hashtags, and I will make an example here. So in this case, what I do now, and if I do a research, I want to rank for the word Danke in this case, and the top 5 GIFs use 5 times thank you, 4 times grateful, and so on. You can see that here. And so it's probably useful to use these popular hashtags because they brought other GIFs in a good position for Danke, and I can it's for sure like that. So the hashtag selection is super important. Example here, in this case, that's an official account. I think it's Spanish of Nutella. And they chose love, and I can tell you love, that's too random, that no one will think about Nutella if you Google for love. Some people might, but yeah, okay. Then they chose Nutella, Nutella lover, and Nutella PR. And I can tell you Nutella lover is also a hashtag which just Nutella PR is using. And Nutella PR makes also no sense. No one will look for Nutella lover or Nutella PR. And so the big failure here is that Nutella is not using chocolate. So this is an obvious one. And if you then do some additional research and you say, okay, let's check what's related to chocolate, what other hashtags I could use, then you can find something like I love chocolate with as a sticker with just 66 others as competitors, and chocolate day with just 152 others as competitors, and also with a high with a high search volume, kind of. And that's an easy thing. In this case, I would add chocolate, maybe hazelnut, I love chocolate, and chocolate day to the Nutella GIF, and I guess this would rank or has the option to rank somewhere. Okay, if you're really evil, like Pizza Hut, then you go with hashtags like Papa John's and Domino's. And actually, this works. So if you're looking for Domino's in Giphy, then there are 2 Pizza Hut boxes because they chose to go with Domino's as a hashtag. So it's really that easy in some scenarios to rank here. Okay, so last few slides. Some tests and reporting. I was curious how good works this whole thing, and I went and bought an iPad and a pencil and started to draw in the train. And I was going with my list like low competition, high search volume, and draw some things, or just the things I was able to draw. And if you do that, you get and you upload it to Giphy, then you get some reportings here that you're ranking. So this you see here, like it's ranking for like helps to something like that. What's really interesting in the dashboard of Giphy is they give you these view numbers, and what you can see here is 3 big peaks, and I cannot really tell you where these peaks are coming from, but it's massive in terms of how many millions of views you make at these days. So the growth in all other scenarios is pretty stable, even if you're ranking. But in these cases, I expect that two things could have happened. The first one, someone really popular in social media took one of the GIFs and shared it. And the second option is the GIF was trending in some apps, in really the GIF trends. Because these numbers are too high, then they cannot be just from search. So that's really interesting. And so if someone is coming with, I do a lot of millions of views with just search, I don't think that's correct. I think you need to be in the trends to get numbers in the millions easily. Okay, another thing you can check if you want to check out how popular your GIFs are is on Tenor. They give you information about shares, and you can see here the Saturday GIF was shared like 200 times. And yeah, so that's it. I also have some Twitter and LinkedIn. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks.
Good. So thank you very much as well, Tobias. Those really great tips. I just wrote in the comments. For me, a completely new world opens up. Actually, I was maybe naively, but I never thought about how these GIFs come to the WhatsApp app. But it's cool. So maybe I wrote it. Maybe my company or other companies should more think about how uploading GIFs to these platforms like Tenor or Giphy to also be there. And
big, I would say, yeah.
Yeah. So it would be interesting how many, maybe you can ask in the chat, how many of you already uploaded GIFs themselves there. So maybe I'm the only one which never did it. So did you do it already? So
yeah, now I have the test account, multiple test accounts where I upload them, yeah.
Okay, cool. I definitely have to try this out. And it's also good to see that still in this digital and technological world that emotions are still important. So that they play a big role. Cool. Thanks a lot, Tobias, for this presentation. And for the last but not least presentation, I invite Niels Binder to the stage. And he will tell us why studying history of arts help you to become a better front-end designer, and that like all these fantastic things we do today in our digital world, how this is connected to all these fancy old art pieces that we see in museums and all these art classes or maybe some of us used to join during our studies. So welcome, Niels, and the stage is yours.
Okay, yes. So hello, everybody. So the last talk for today. Thank you for the nice introduction, Daniel. As you already said, my name is Niels Binder. I work for a company called 9 Elements. We are based in Germany. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to contact me on Twitter. My direct messages are open. And a little bit more information about me you find on my webpage on ichimnetz.com. But now let's start with the talk because I don't have that much time here. When I started working in the web design area many years ago, it was a thing that we had designers on the one hand, and then we had front-end developers and back-end developers on the other hand. And they don't get along that well quite often. So we hear things like, well, designers should just learn how to code. And then there's a designer just saying, well, you don't get the margins right. Just look at it. Don't you see it? Then they answer whether you don't know how the internet works. And then designer starts yelling and says, this is my expectations and this is what I got in reality. And we get this, well, this is not print. Learn your stuff. So maybe you've been there. But over the last years, something new evolved here, a new profession that is called front-end design. The term was coined by Brad Frost, I'm quite sure. And front-end designers are people that deal with HTML, CSS, a lot of accessibility and performance stuff, all of this. And they are kind of the bridge between design and development. And I've been working in this area for quite a long time, even though I didn't know it was named like this because there wasn't a word for it yet. But I found out that you need some kind of special skills to be successful in this area in between design and front-end development. And at some point, I realized that I did study history of art. And some of the things I learned there help me in my everyday work today. And I want to show you what this is. And maybe you can pick something up here as well. And I will do this by showing you two pieces of art and drawing some parallels to front-end development here. So let's start with this one of my favorite paintings. It's called White Painting by Robert Rauschenberg. And what we are seeing here is 7 canvases next to each other. So it's not 6 lines on a large canvas, it's 7 canvases. This is why it's called the 7-panel version. It's from 1951. There's also other ones. So we have the 4-panel version. Then, of course, 3-panel version, 2-panel, and the single white painting here as well. Don't mistake it with this one here. This one is also by a painter called Robert, but this is Robert Ryman, and this one is from 1965. So it's done 14 years later, and of course, it's something completely different. So let's get back to this one. It's just I like the form the most. What I like about this painting is something that Robert Rauschenberg did. 9 years after he painted it, he was asked to show his paintings in an exhibition in Germany, and he's from the United States. And then he said, well, you know, putting them on a plane, they could be damaged. This is kind of hard. And I'll tell you what to do. Well, you know, the canvases are roughly 180 by 45 centimeters. The paint that is used is latex paint. And he told his assistant, paint them so they look like they haven't been painted. No hand, just a coat of paint on them. And his assistant, called Bryce Martin, did as he was told, and he painted these pictures. And they were shown in the exhibition. And what I really like is what was written underneath the paintings, because it said Robert Rauschenberg, 1951, even though they had just been painted. And if you look at what's happening here is, I think it's kind of this piece of art exists in kind of a digital form. And this is the same as we're having what we're dealing with every day. Like this could be the HTML and CSS that describes what it is. Then we have the assistant, which is the browser, trying his best to interpret what he's given and rendering the piece of art. And we have the final rendered website here that is the final product of it. And what I think is maybe the best thing about it, you can do this yourself. You can follow the instructions, and then you have an original Robert Rauschenberg hanging in your living room. But maybe just white painting is not your thing. You want to look at something a little bit different. So I will give you another piece of art now. So this one here, this is much older, and maybe it's a little bit more of what you expected when you read about history of art. This one is by Georg Flegel. It's called Stillleben mit Käse und Kirschen, which translates to Still Life with Cheese and Cherries, and it's from 1635. So let's have a look at it. What are we having here? We have a silver plate, and on it are some cherries, some nuts, and then stacked on top of each other is a cheese, a knife, a bread, and a dragonfly. And on the left-hand side, we have a glass of wine in a very elaborate glass. And that's everything that is on there, but there's much more going on in this painting. Those of you who are religious may have seen that everything in here, there's everything in here from original sin to Jesus' life, crucifixion, resurrection, and salvation. It's all in there. For those of you who did not see this at first glance, I will do a little description about it and help you out here. So it starts in paradise. You know, you have Adam and Eve, and then you have the devil in form of a snake. And you see the snake in the left-hand side in the glass here. I don't know if you see my mouse cursor, but I will be pointing at it here. And we don't have an apple, you know, the forbidden fruit, but we have other fruits from paradise, the cherries here. These are fruits from paradise, so they are also a symbol for the original sin. Already in the Old Testament, there's talk about a prophet. And if you're a Christian, this prophet is Jesus. And we have images of Jesus, some symbols for Jesus lying around here. And this is the nuts that are lying around here. And nuts are a symbol for Jesus because the hard shell is a symbol for his suffering. And the fruit, the sweet fruit inside, is a symbol for his kindness. So there's Jesus going on here. And we all know Jesus' life did not end that well. He was crucified. And you remember these evil fruits from paradise? They are forming a cross down here. So this is kind of a symbol for Jesus' crucifixion. But of course, he did not die. Well, he didn't stay dead for long. He was resurrected 3 days after. And in church, we have something called the Holy Communion, where we eat the flesh of Jesus. Yes, we do, in the form of bread. And we drink his blood in the form of wine. And you see the bread up here, and you have the knife pointing up against reading direction. You know, the reading direction always goes from top left to down right. And down here is where you put the submit button. But this is pointing against it. So resurrection going upwards, pointing towards the wine. And the wine, the blood of Jesus, was finally crushing the snake, the devil, and giving us all salvation. So you might wonder, why am I telling you all this? Well, what is important here is, if you look at this, every single object here has a job to do. It has a purpose, and it's very important to see what it is and where it is placed. And keep this in mind when the next time you're looking at a design that you're given, and try to see what is the job of every single object. And we will do this now. I will show you. And a very simple example here. We have just a layout that is only a headline and 2 paragraphs here. And, well, what you could do is you take your favorite graphics program or whatever, and you look at all the measurements here. We have like all the distances in pixels. We have the font size, the line height, and so on. And you could go on and translate everything here to CSS. So we would have something like this. I won't go into detail here, but we have the font size and the line height here in CSS, in pixels. We have the margins and so on. And it would look nearly the same as the layout that we're having here. But if you know a little bit about CSS, you will know that as soon as I start resizing my browser, this layout will break. So we need something else. We could then use media queries, but maybe there's a better way. So let's look at this again and see what was the designer's intention here. What makes this layout unique? And I think there are 3 things that we need to see. First one is, if you look at the headline, this is huge. It's not about readability or something. This headline here is kind of a substitute for an image. The designer wants you to really stare at these huge letters. The next thing is completely different. It's the paragraph. By the paragraph, it is really about readability. The line length is important. You want to make sure that the user can really read this paragraph. And the last thing that is interesting here is the layout itself, how these pieces of typography are arranged on the screen. And you may have noticed before that it's not completely centered. It's a little bit more over here than it's over here. And of course, the paragraph is indented here so that you have a little bit of white space going on here. So these are the 3 things that are important. And I will address them one by one. So let's start with the headline here. It is really huge. And instead of using this 160 pixels, I can put it in a relation to the complete width of the browser here, of the layout. That's 1,440 pixels. And I can translate this to viewport units. And this looks like this. So I have my H1 here, and I have a font size of 10 viewport units. And I always add a little bit of fixed units here because it's a little bit better for accessibility. I'm not really sure how important it is if you have such a huge font size here, but at least it would grow and shrink a little bit if you change your browser size. So this is what I'm using for the headline, so that it always stays really huge. So next part would be the line length of the paragraph. This one here is 720 pixels. Again, this seems like a magic number, and it has no relation to anything. So instead of having this, I can draw 50 times 0 in the given font family and font size down here. Why a 0? Because there is the character unit in CSS. I found that many people don't know about it. It's CH. And 1 CH is always the width of the character 0 in the given font family at the given font size. So if for some reason this font family here was changed to a very narrow font, we would still have the same numbers of characters inside of one line. So it's even better than using M, for example, here. So all we have to do to have a good line length here is a max width of 50 characters, and that's it. Okay, and the final thing is the layout itself. Here you can see 3 vertical lines here, and we have the width of these columns here. Again, you might already have guessed that I will not be using the pixel values that we're having here, but instead I want to find a relation between these columns here. And you could say that if you multiply these 114 on the right here by 2, you get roughly 230. And if you multiply it by 3, you will end up with roughly 344. And what's interesting here is that what is in these columns here is mostly white space. There's nothing in there. And one tool to really deal with white space very good is CSS Grid. And I will show you how this works. So I have this whole container here that is called fancy text. I give it a display grid, and then I set this grid template columns, 2FR, 3FR auto for this paragraph here, and 1FR for this last column. And that's all there is, and then we only have to place our elements in there. So I place the headline here at grid column 2/4, 2 because the first one would be over here. So it's 2, 3, 4, and the paragraph starts at the third one and ends at the fourth one. So we have 3 things that we did here. If we combine this all together, it looks like this. Here you find everything that I talked about before. All the other things are a little bit like line height and also margins, but only vertical margins are left here. And if I now compare this here to the original CSS that I had before, I give you that this one, the new one, is a little bit more complex. And yes, it has 2 more lines. But instead of having a layout that breaks as soon as you start resizing the browser, we now have a layout that's completely responsive without the use of any media query. And on top of that, it preserves, and this is important for me, it preserves the designer's intention. So look at the headline that is always really big, at the readability of the text, and about the spacing in between. And I will show you this in a little demo here. So you see when I increase the width here, you always have a very huge headline. The paragraph stays in a very good readable way. And the distribution of white space, I can show you this in an even better example over here. Here you can see how the white space is distributed. And I just have to say, this is for me just great to see how this works and how this works out, and it completely disappears when there's no space. Then we don't have anything to put there. And otherwise, it distributes so nicely. I could look at this like for hours. Maybe I have already in my life, because I've done this talk quite a lot of times so far. So maybe what you can take with you today is that when you look at a layout for the next time, try to see what is the job of every element. What's its purpose? What is it doing there? And how is it related to the surroundings and to the other things here? Look at it as if it was a piece of art. And the great thing here is Georg Flegel is already dead for some years now. So we cannot ask him what he wanted to do here. So we have to ask people doing art history. But most certainly and hopefully, your designer friend will still be alive. So go there, ask him. And if you're a designer, ask this yourself and ask what's the message that I have to give to a developer so that he knows or she knows what needs to be done and what needs to be preserved when transforming static layout to responsive website experience. And this is one of the big parts that makes front-end design for me so interesting. And I love front-end design, and I hope that front-end design will get the love it deserves over the next years. So, and that was it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Niels. This was really great. So really interesting and eye-opening talk. For me, it was like also a little bit going back to my studies, seeing this, looking at pictures so carefully. Somehow I really miss this because we did it a lot in studies, but after that you forget soon about it. And you should do it more often and also have like this. I don't know if art direction is the correct word, but have this more motivation to create our websites more uniquely and not follow all these trends which are popping up and disappearing again. So thank you very much.
Really
also, I also like this. Sorry?
Yeah, I think that you should do more art-directed websites that are not just always the same pattern, but a little bit more interesting, the more interesting layout that maybe cannot be achieved with Tailwind, but I will not open up this right now.
Yeah, but definitely it would be worth to have more difference and more diversity also in the design. Also, I liked that you say it that you see the browser as your assistant. Most often we more see it like our enemy, where we have to fight with, and to make our make him show our designs as we want to be shown. And but actually, it should be our assistant. We should collaborate and work together. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That was cool. Okay, very good. So I lied a little bit to you before when I said this is the last talk. It's not the absolutely last talk, so we have a special guest today, and I invite Nico Martin to the stage. He wants to show us a small thing he wants to present, and he will just tell you more about it now.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Nico. I'm a web developer, or let's say front-end developer, and I'm based here in Spiez in the Bernese Oberland. And I will only take a couple of minutes of your time because I want to introduce a little thing, a little side project I've done during the last weeks called PW Advent. In the end, it's just a nice little tool for everyone who's excited about the web platform. So if you go to pwadvent.dev, you will see a little advent calendar. You will see those 24 boxes. Of course, they are all brown at the moment because there are no days active yet. But I think you can still maybe get a glimpse of what is coming there. We have some great content in this advent calendar. It's all about progressive web apps and the project Fugu. I think I don't need to introduce a lot of those things, or I don't think I need to explain those words, because we already had a great talk from Francesco about some of those features. But we have those 24 articles. We have articles about those browser APIs. Some of them you've already heard today, but there are a lot of more. There are a lot more APIs in the Advent calendar. And who is Yeah, okay, great. So who is we? I started this project. I had the idea in mind to have this little introduction of modern browser APIs in the Advent 2020. And I reached out to a lot of other people from the Progressive Web App community. So it's not only me, it's also some people from Microsoft and Chrome who write about their favorite Progressive Web App or Fugu features. And also Francesco, he also will have, I think, 2 articles in the calendar. So I think that's a great thing, and a great thing you should look out to. There are some ways you could sign up right now. We have email sign up, so you will be notified as soon as new articles are published. So each day, it's also possible to sign up using using push notifications. Of course, only if your device supports push notifications. And you could also just install it as a progressive web app, so you have it on your screen right next to your thumb. So whenever you feel like you should take a look, you can just open it up and see the latest features. A little bit about the architecture. Maybe if you know me, I do a lot with WordPress. So I created a little backend using WordPress, especially because I wanted to use the Gutenberg editor. I'm a huge fan of the new block editor, or let's say it's not new, but it's still great. But it's all headless. So the WordPress, it's just pushing the content through the REST API to a Preact app that I've built. Preact, if you don't know Preact, it's a small UI library, let's say. It has the exact same API as React, but it's way smaller. So the whole library is about 3 kilobyte, I guess, gzipped or broadly compressed. And of course, it's also a progressive web app itself. So it has a service worker for the push notification and the caching, and it also has a workbox that helps with the caching strategies and everything. The whole source code is on GitHub. It's open source. You can have a look. You can play with it. You can, take some ideas from that as well. That was it already from my side. As I said, only a couple of minutes. If you are excited about the modern web, you should check out pwadvent.dev. And from the 1st till the 24th of December, you will get great and short articles about some awesome features from the Progressive Web App community. Thanks.
Nice, very cool. So thanks a lot to you to share this and to also create this. This was the big part. So December is always my favorite time of the year, not because of the gift and the holiday which comes soon, but also because of all these advent calendars which you can find in digital form and in chocolate form, whatever, and maybe in GIF form. For sure, there is also GIF advent calendar somewhere.
But I mean, I have snow on it. If that's enough,
okay, cool.
You can go with that.
Cool. Yes, snow. I hope we have also snow in real as well. But
yeah,
cool. Thank you very much, Nico, also for presenting this.
Yeah, thank you.
I will for sure follow along and open all the doors. Cool.
Nice.
So, and sorry for the glitch as well before I shared my screen too early.
No problem.
Good, but now I have to share it. So find the button like this. Perfect. Good. So not that much to say anymore. Thanks again to all the speakers. These were great talks today, and we learned a lot. I learned a lot, at least. And for sure, I have a lot of things to do to follow up on in Christmas holiday break and dive into these worlds of GIF, of art history, art direction, and also of these new fancy APIs, and try them out, combine everything together somehow, and learn more about PWA. So a lot to do, a lot to learn, and to start the new year with a much bigger backpack with more information. Really cool. So the year is but not over yet. So we have one more meetup end of next month, so 18th, just before Christmas. we will do the December meetup with another bunch of interesting talks. So I would be happy to have you there as well. And yeah, so for today, talks are over, so we will stop the stream here on YouTube, but you can still follow along and have another party, have the after party. If you go to this link, it's a Jitsi instance and you can join there. You don't have to install anything. You can join there from your browser. So if I'm not wrong, I think Chrome works best, but it should also work with some of the other browsers. Just try it out. Would be cool to have some of you there, and we can discuss the topics and all other things we want to do. Thank you for joining, and I wish you a great Friday evening and a great weekend. See you in more or less a month. Thank you very much.